Ripout is a newly released co-op horror shooter game from indie game maker Pet Project Games, where players have to fight and strategize as they move through abandoned, monster-infested spaceships, and all this while collecting loot and customizing your character and arsenal as you search for Sanctuary. Just so that you know, Sanctuary is a designated safe zone that all players have to reach, but discovering the location will take every trick you have up your sleeve. If you're not familiar with Doom, which is set in the same genre, then Ripout will look very similar, and that's because it is. However, a major selling point of Ripout is that it does bring some unique things to the table. The following 7 Ripout tips will help you not only live better and get better weapons and talents, but they'll also help you comprehend the game and play it more effectively. Ripout features some mechanics that have become second nature in the horror shooter genre. On starting the game, you are made to play the tutorial. However, midway through the tutorial, there is an option to skip the rest of the tutorial. Although Ripout comes with some elements we have come to love in horror shooter games, the fact remains that the developer, Pet Project Games, has introduced some interesting mechanics to challenge you even if you have played Doom or other similar games. The tutorial will give you a quick insight into how to customize and modify your weapon and character playstyle. So it's better to play the tutorial for a while so you don't have to look up for specific things later on in the game. Ripout is a very unique game in a genre that is massively science fiction inspired. While you can choose any difficulty level, initially it's preferred and better to start with the easiest difficulty level to familiarize yourself with the game. Once you're familiar with the mechanics and particulars of the game, you can easily select a higher beginner level. But if you're someone who likes to play at a higher difficulty level, then you can skip this tip all the way around. Playstyle is very important in Ripout, since it can make the difference between completing one objective or falling to a swarm of enemies. Your playstyle can be different from other players, based on your preferences, choices, and how you like to play the game. Either you can try different playstyles and upgrade them, or you can choose one of them to adapt yourself to the game. Also, keep in mind to frequently update your skill set so that you can easily compete with the lurks. Despite the many sci-fi elements that make Ripout a co-op horror survival shooter game, the thing to keep in mind is that Ripout is still a standard first-person shooter game. Having played through the game, anyone familiar with the Doom or Alien game titles will quickly fall in love with this game, and for good reason. Ripout is simply a sci-fi game where you get to shoot stuff, in this case, mutants and monsters, and then earn in-game money to upgrade your weapons and gear. Don't be overwhelmed by the various aspects or distinct elements of the game, like when you have to accept a mission that drops you into a new scenario or when you have to choose the abandoned spaceship you want to explore with your co-op friends. While these may sound different and completely new aspects of the game, you can easily get used to it after a few playthroughs. As mentioned previously, Ripout is a cooperative game. It is designed to be played with friends. Of course, playing solo does bring out a new level of tension and intensity that horror games bring to the table, but while the difficulty of some of the missions played so far indicates you should be jumping into the game with your friends, and you don't have to worry about the game becoming too easy, as you'll still find large creatures and mob fights extremely challenging, even with your friends on board. Large monsters and mutants are always lurking in shadows everywhere, regardless of the spaceship you choose or the mission you are on. Even if your guns are not up to the task, you still have to take some fights against large monsters, since they'll bring the fight to you, so that the game AI will lock you into forced combat. When this happens, make sure you do not rush into the fight. Keep a good distance between yourself and the large monster you're fighting. From the first playthrough, it's very obvious the developers will have to take some time to fine-tune the close quarters fight against large monsters to make the game as successful as other big titles in the genre. When you enter a fight with the large monsters, and if you fail to put enough distance between you and the large monster, you are prone to death because you won't have the time to use enough bullets down. This is not to say the large monsters are overpowered. The thing is, when you enter the fight, you have one chance to revive in case you die. After you revive, you still have to continue the fight, but then you are at a disadvantage because the fear factor, which is another interesting element in the game, kicks in and reduces the efficiency of your character's performance. So when you end up dying again, you don't gain any rewards. This is closely linked with the previous tip, and for good reason. Resources are always crucial when it comes to the horror shooter genre, and it is just as in Ripout 2. For the most part, you need to loot, so you can increase your chance of spawning a superior weapon. Also, resources are very crucial if you want to improve the defense and performance of your character. When you start the game during the tutorial walkthrough, you will have the opportunity to secure some items for free, after which you will have free reign to use your resources as you see fit. Make sure you do not spend your hard-earned in-game currency. A general rule of thumb to keep in mind while playing Ripout is that the higher you go in terms of mission difficulty, the harder it becomes. The implication of this is that you find it harder to complete the action-packed missions, which makes it difficult for you to gain resources. So don't buy that weapon unless you absolutely need it to complete your next mission. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it so far. If so, then subscribe to the channel and like the video in order to see more gaming content like this in future. Comment down below how was your experience playing it, and what video do you need next? I'll see you all in the next video.